Me, Liam.
Good
been
morning.
a big weekend of sport. Been a big week of sport, in fact.
It's been a massive week of sport, especially in Australian sport. This has been
Australian sport.
absolutely massive.
It's the pinnacle of Australian sport this time of the year. Of course, we had the cricket finalising in the Big Bash, and of course, we had the tennis, the two big finals happening, and between the women's and the men's, and of course, the mixed doubles as well. It's been a big week. We got heaps to talk about on this show.
Yes. Before we get that, we go to a song. We got Paul Kelly before too long here on CN 90.7.
Welcome back to the Sports Desk on SYN 90.7 FM, and we've got a huge show, as we mentioned before today, and we're going to start straight away getting to the tennis now. Of course, last night it was a huge match between the veterans, it's fair to say, Liam, the veterans.
Yes, this is probably the biggest Oz Open of all time. Wouldn't you agree?
I tell you what, these guys have some history that goes back almost a decade. And they just continue to amaze, don't they? You know, another five-setter in a final, and he's done it again. The Fed Express. For those of you who don't know who won, Roger Federer won, and he won 6-4, 3-6, 6-1, 6-3. And that was 5 sets, so unbelievable game at the end. And 3 hours and 37 minutes, if you don't mind.
Oh, very, very long time.
It's a fair match.
This was his 18th overall. 18th. That's
18th Grand Slam, which is the highest of all time.
He broke his record.
Broke his own record. And he hasn't won a Grand Slam since 2012 at Wimbledon, so it's been a long time. Rafa hasn't won since 2014, and both of these guys coming into the Australian Open, they both hadn't played a lot of tennis. Rafa said in his speech, his concession speech at the end of the match, he did say that he has been playing a lot of tennis in Australia, which he doesn't usually do. He played in the Brisbane International and got into the final there, and he's played a fair bit of tennis in Australia the last month. So just conditioning himself for the conditions. Whereas Roger, a couple of injuries coming into this tournament, hadn't played a lot of tennis, and so his form was always going to be questioned. But he did it extremely well and won every single one of his matches.
Yeah. What I find amazing looking here is that Federer won his first Grand Slam in 2003. Wow. Like, how long has this guy been playing for?
It's incredible. And just for all those out there who don't know actually how old this man is, I mean, you'd think he's in his mid-20s, but he's actually 35, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
35.
He is the second oldest male player to win a Grand Slam.
That is unbelievable.
That is... You don't know many 35-year-olds that can run, let alone do what tennis players do. And
what Andre Agassi, when he was about 37 and a half, I think he played in a final and lost it, and then of course he hung up the racket. I think is that the right terminology to use?
Hung up the racket.
Hung up the racket. So 35. You still think after seeing his form and seeing the way he played last night, he's still got a lot left in him. Still acing a lot, still being able to cover the court very well, and his backhands have just, if anything, gotten a lot better besides kind of fading out in that third set. But he's unbelievable.
Another thing just shows what the respect that Federer and Nadal have for each other. It's pretty much what he said post-match with it, of saying tennis is a tough sport. There's no draws, but if there was, I would be happy to share it with Rafa tonight. They
certainly do have a very much a huge respect for each other on and off the field. As we were saying before we went on air, you know, they do share a lot of occasions together. Of course, being two huge names, they would go to a lot of events together. Roger was at his opening at Nadal's opening for his academy, so. They certainly do help each other out. I don't know whether they're at each other's weddings. I think Nadal might be getting married soon, so you just never know. I don't know if Federer would be the best man after the tournament just passed, but I think they do have a good relationship off the court, which is always good.
And speaking about that, another legend on Saturday night.
Oh, yes.
The Williams sisters played off against each other.
Serena, I tell you what, at the moment, America, you know, there's not a lot to be happy about, with the presidency and that kind of stuff, but Serena is the shining light, and she did it again. She did it again, Liam. She's won her 23rd Grand Slam. That is incredible.
Yeah. She's one behind the great Margaret Court. So as an Australian, let's hope she accidentally does an ACL or something and can't play again.
Now, of course, we are aware that Margaret Court has her own court, and she's got one of the best names, I think, for tennis, the most appropriate name for tennis. It's called Margaret Court.
She was born to be a tennis player.
I know. I mean, I do love Yvonne Goolagong's name just because it sounds like a cool name. But come on, Margaret Court. You can't top that. But you just wonder now, If Serena wins another Grand Slam, and you almost imagine that she could, because she's almost unstoppable when she's at her best, will she get a court named after her?
Oh, she would, definitely.
Surely. In America. Maybe not in Australia, but certainly in America.
I think Federer will get a court named after him as well.
He'll get a Swiss Alp named after him. He's doing that well at the moment. But it was an incredible occasion. She, of course, played her sister, Venus, and Venus has been around for a long time.
Venus has the older sibling curse, where it seems to be the thing in sport where the younger sibling seems to do better than the older sibling.
It's very true. But at the start, though, I think Venus did have the wood over her sister. But ever since then, sister's raced past her, I tell you.
In saying that, she's won 8, so not like she's a bad player.
No, not at all. It's almost like we're making her out to be the unsuccessful sister.
Yeah.
But that's 8 more Grand Slams that I have than what I have. So you'll take that any day. But it was. It was only a 2-setter on the weekend, so Serena obviously had the mental edge.
Won 6-4, 6-4.
6-4, 6-4, but Serena Williams as well, 35 years old. So it seemed to be the tournament of the veterans.
She broke her record of becoming the oldest player to win a Grand Slam.
They keep breaking their own records. It's unbelievable.
Well, when you're that good, what else do you have to do?
Tell you what, it's like a good bottle of Sauv Blanc. It's just getting better with age, and they just seem to keep getting better.
You know what I want to see? Serena Williams, Roger Federer win a doubles tournament. A mixed doubles tournament. That's what I want to see.
They've done something for charity, and I tell you what, it's very entertaining to watch, and they certainly do put on a masterclass, that's for sure. But it was an unbelievable win, and of course the first Grand Slam since 2012 for the Dodger. Of course, there are a lot of questions asked. Post game, will you continue? Are you the best player of all time? This kind of stuff. He's a very humble man, Roger, and anyone who knows Roger knows that. And as a result, he's just like, I'll be back, and he will be, and he'll probably just keep getting better now.
And he'll probably be like, I'm not the best of all time. Wink, wink.
Wink, wink. That's right. But these two have an incredible record against each other, and we've just been looking at some of the results. Believe it or not, Rafa's won 23 to 13 wins, in between each other. So Rafa has had the more success over the two, and I think it might have been back in either 2009 or 2010. I think Rafa did beat Roger Federer in the final in Melbourne as well, in the Australian Open, and that was an incredible match as well. These guys play a lot of 5-setters. It's always guaranteed to be 3 hours plus, these kind of matches. So
it is. Some other winners on the Australian Open. The men's double went to Henry Cotine. I think that's how you pronounce it.
That's the way you say it.
And
yes.
John Pearce.
Yes.
The women's double went to Bethany Matkik Sands, and I am going to say this name wrong, Lucy Savaroka. I apologise.
Obviously, our European heritage isn't helping us with our pronunciations here today, unfortunately.
But Dylan Alcott won his 3rd straight wheelchair Australian Open.
Unbelievable.
So good for him.
He's very good.
Yeah.
Hot wheels.
I was about to say he's really rolling on, but you bent me to the pun. We're going to go to a song now. I'm going to talk about the BBL.
Oof.
Here on the Sports Desk, this is John Farnham, You're the Voice. It was John Farnham, You're the Voice, here on the Sports Desk. Sport Desk. I said it right? Yes. For Monday the 30th of January.
There are many sport desks, but we're reporting just from one of them.
It's 21 minutes past 9 and it's currently 27 degrees with a top of 30.
It's going to be a warm day today.
Yes, apparently it's going to be really windy, so very warm and very dry heat.
Perfect day for some beach volleyball.
Yeah, perfect day to put on some sunscreen. Let's not get burned, guys.
Slip, slap, slop, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you do it. Got to be smart. Sun smart, I think it is. Yep.
And talking about the summer, nothing says summer more than cricket.
Oh.
And what a revelation the Big Bash has been.
It's been unbelievable. almost 40 days worth of cricket every single night, sometimes double headers, which we've all really, really loved, just in case one match wasn't enough, headed off to the furnace, played another match. It was unbelievable and incredibly paced as well. And the Women's Big Bash League as well, along with the men's, did just as well, if not better. Huge ratings, through the roof again, new records broken.
That's why they're adding 8 more games. I know for the men's, I'm not sure about the women's, they're adding more games, but I know for the men's,
8 more games and a couple more new venues as well, which is going to be exciting.
I know, I heard something about Geelong. I'm not 100% sure on that.
Oh, yeah. Well, of course, they're playing that T20 down at Cardinia Park on, I think, the 19th of Feb. So, be interested to see how that one plays. And if so, Big Bash League would be very, very welcome there.
They could add a new Geelong team. And, of course, they'll be called something Cats because that's every team in Geelong's called.
Yeah. Gary Ablett in his twilight days will join him, and he'll be smashing sixes out of the park. He'll be the perfect all rounder.
Oh, yeah.
We can just see it now, can't we?
And let's start off with the BBL women's final, which was before the men's, which is Perth versus Sydney. Sydney Sixers.
Sense of deja vu.
Yeah.
Two Perth, 2 Sydney teams.
The Sydney Sixers, who came runners-up last year, finally got their first victory with a 7-run win over the Perth Scorchers.
Wow. The Sydney Sixers getting up in... Was it played in Perth? Or
yeah,
was it,
played in
wow,
Perth.
Wow. So it's not easy to win at the Furnace. And so the women's did extremely well. Elisa Healy, of course, the daughter of Ian, 40. Gee, played very, very well, and 6'4". So that's incredibly good for a Big Bash final. And she practically helped her team over the line.
124 they got in the end, 5 for 124. It didn't look like enough.
No, it's not a big score.
And when the Perth came out, they made quick work, very easy. At one point, they were 82 runs to win of 87 balls. And something that Great Lee Matthews said about football, that if you had more points and time on the scoreboard, you're in trouble. With cricket, if you have more runs, if you have less runs than balls, you're doing quite well.
That's absolutely right. And of course, wickets in hand is such a crucial thing in the game of cricket. And, Perth just kept losing regular wickets at interval. They couldn't really get many players who got an eye in. And as a result, you had Sarah Ali, who took 4 for 23. And as mentioned here, she was on a hat-trick in the 19th over. So, pretty much when the game was there to be won, and it was...
It was
possible to win as well.
25 runs to win off the 12 balls.
12 balls.
Anything could go.
Anything could happen.
Come off the moment, come off the champion. She took 2 weeks off her first 2 balls, and that's pretty much all she wrote.
That's it.
But
straight into the record books.
What really hurt the Perth Scorchers when Suzanne Bates got run out. It's always that one wicket that destroys the momentum of a team.
It can.
And she got out in the 10th over. They were looking fine, looking easily get up and win their first tournament, but no, got out.
Wasn't meant to be.
Now we'll go over to the men's. Before we go over to the men's, Beth Mooney from the Brisbane Heat won the play of the tournament for the women's, which is a bit of a... Brisbane did good with Chris Lynn winning the males play of the tournament.
He did. Incredible first half of the season. And we do say to this day still that if he was there, Brisbane might have done better in that Super Over. I suppose we'll never know.
Yeah.
Hindsight's a wonderful thing.
How maybes and could-haves, the way the world runs.
Too many should-haves and could-haves.
Yeah. A bit after that was the males. The Perth played Sydney again, Sixers versus Scorchers again, which has made up now half of the BBL finals.
Yes.
Before the game started, they both had 1 win each over each other. Perth now who defeated Sydney, have won their 5th. So their 3rd final, but they played in 5 out of 6.
Unbelievable, aren't they, the Perth Scorchers? And I tell you what, that the Furnace, very much like in the footy when they play at at Subiaco, it's very, very hard to win over there.
Well, that might be an issue because that could be the final game they play over at the Furnace with the new
very,
Perth
very
Stadium
likely.
being built.
And the new Perth Stadium is looking outstanding. It should be finished by 2018 season.
I might go over there and go catch my Dockers play.
I think so. And I don't know what the kind of diameters of the boundaries will be, but I'm sure players like Michael Klinger can certainly clear it. And talking about Michael Klinger, he was unbelievable in Perth's chase in their pursuit for 144. Of course, Michael Klinger, 71, 5 fours and 5 sixes, an incredible effort from him. But Sydney looked in trouble pretty much straight away. They never looked like they were in it.
After 3 overs, they were 3 for 17. Really, from that, what can you do?
And by the end of the power play, they were 3 for 33. And The destroyer, the man, the Ashes hero, Mitchell Johnson. Unbelievable again.
Came out of retirement.
Can he come out of retirement again? I think he can play a longer form. He's looking very fit.
Get him and Stark together. We just need a beautiful fast bowling.
Bring back the Mitchells. Come on. Family reunion. But no, Mitchell was outstanding. His economy rate of 0.75 is a brand new record in the Big Bash League. Tom Cooper and Kane Richardson previously held the mark of economy of 1. Being the most economical spell in BBL history. But Johnson's economy by the end of the tournament was about 5. So, if getting 5 runs off a bowler bowling 4 overs, that's about almost 26 to 30 dots. It's a lot of dot balls, which is huge. It can really change a match around.
Another good bowler, especially for the final, Jai Richardson took 3 for 30.
Jai Richardson, he's been very good this season. He's been a revelation. Of course, he played Australia A's for a long time. And he's finally making his name in the Big Bash. And we'll see a lot more of this kid in the future, I think. He played extremely well. 3 for 30, as you said. Besides a little bit of a cameo by Johan Bofa, the brand new Australian citizen. 32, 3 fours and 1 6, but... could never quite get a partnership together.
Yeah, the Sydney Sixers were never in the hunt this one. It was definitely a first versus fourth grand final.
It certainly was. And after that Nick Maddison run out, I mean, that guy can't buy any kind of luck at the moment. No. It's all going downhill for him. But, Perth, unbelievable.
Yeah, with the Sydney Sixers, kind of shows that they were lucky. They made the grand final through luck. I know people say you can't make one through luck, but they just go over the Melbourne Stars to give them the finals berth. And they defeated Brisbane in a super over.
That's right.
A linless Brisbane, might I add.
That's absolutely right. Linless.
But can any team stop the Scorchers? They've now they've won 3 out of 4. They've pretty much played in every final since, apart from the Thunder and Stars.
They seem to have the winning formula. They have an amazing bowling lineup. In their first couple of seasons, they were defending very low targets, and they were able to do it with quite ease. And they've just got a beautiful bowling lineup, and they always seem to get good bowlers in. Everyone was saying, Brad Hogg is out. Who's going to be your next hero? Who's going to be your next crowd favourite? They found it in Mitchell Johnson. Oh yeah. And you look at him now. Wow.
And another thing that Perth do well is that they pick up WA talent. They're international and WA.
They do. And of course, they lost David Willey, the very good Englishman all-rounder last season. They got Ian Bell in this season. So, their recruiting is unbelievably good.
And you don't want to go to the furnace because Perth people are ruthless.
They are. They're ruthless. You'd think in cricket there's a little bit of respite, but no, absolutely not. They are ruthless in all forms of sport.
Today, the Ian Chappell series.
Yep, the Chappell Hadley series over in New Zealand. Over in New Zealand, yes. It only feels like the other day we're playing them in the ODIs. It happens very, very regularly.
I still don't get why we're doing this and then coming back to play 2020s.
I know.
This summer has been, we did tests and 1 days and tests and 1 days and New Zealand and.
New Zealand seem to be the team we like to get back in form with. When we're not doing too well, we say, let's play the Kiwis. Let's see if we can get some form back together. Look, the Kiwis are no slouch in the ODIs, but
over there we seem to lose. Over here we seem to win.
Exactly. So it certainly is a trans-Tasman rivalry. That's for sure.
Our skipper, our standing skipper Matthew Wade is no longer standing. He was out, so Aaron Finch is still
Sounds like no one wants to take the captaincy at the moment. No. So Aaron Finch is taking the
captain. With Warner, Smith, and now Wade out.
Yep, well,
and
of course,
unfortunately,
Warner,
unfortunately, there's no Gaz.
And no Gaz.
There's no Gaz. So what's going to be nice about it?
I mean, he was playing last night, Gaz,
Yeah. What's going to be nice about our team now, the Aussies?
Exactly.
You can say nice Stark, but it's not the same. You need the nice Gary.
Nice Gary.
By this time next year, by the end of this year, it will be outdated. No one will say nice Gary anymore.
No, they'll be saying nice Maxi.
Before we go to some, at the moment, Australia won the toss and New Zealand's batting first.
Ooh.
We are 1 for 41 after 6.4 overs.
Yeah, very good.
Let's go to a song. It's going Don't Dream Till It's Over here on SYN 90.7. That was Crowder House. Don't dream till it's over here on Sin 90.7. This is Sports Desk with Liam and Michael.
That's absolutely right, and we're going to jump straight into the A-League, and referencing the song "Don't Dream Till It's Over." I don't think Melbourne would be counting anything out yet in the A-League, Liam, because I tell you what, they're not too far behind Sydney. Of course, Sydney are looking like the likely winners, but God, you can't rule.
Oh, Sydney's pulling an Essendon of 2000 at the moment.
They certainly are. 13 wins,
4 draws,
yet to lose a game. Unbelievable.
And the fact that the team they defeated on the weekend on Thursday night was Melbourne Victory 2-1.
It hurts.
They've lost their last 3 games and still sitting comfortably in second.
It's unbelievable how this season works, and between second and third there is a 3-game gap, so it's or 3-win gap. So Melbourne do sit comfortably at second, but even still, it would be frustrating to lose to Sydney. The Melbourne-Sydney rivalry is certainly real, and it's alive. Yeah.
Also, Melbourne City come to another loss, losing to Newcastle 2-1. Melbourne City's hit a bit of a form slump recently. Also, Central Coast Mariners defeated Perth Glory 2-0, which is only the second time since 2014 they've had a clean sheet.
Gee.
It's their second home clean sheet as well since 2014. Both against Perth.
Unbelievable.
And both 2-0. So, what's the chances?
Yeah. They've only won 3 games this season, so they haven't had the best season, the Central Coast Mariners, but
2 against Perth.
But 2 against Perth, you'll take that any day. Must be the mental thing. Some teams, just the lineups just suit the opposition just a little bit more.
You have 3 teams, so you got the top 4 pretty much sewed up. Sydney should finish first. Melbourne, Brisbane, and Melbourne again. It's debatable where they'll finish. But Perth, Newcastle, Wellington's the teams that could make the top 6, and it's the only fight you could see for the top 6 this season.
Ooh, wouldn't a Melbourne v Melbourne final be brilliant?
Oh, it would. It would, but I would like a Melbourne v Sydney again for the 3rd time.
It would be good. It would be very, very entertaining.
You always need 3. If a team gets 1, another team gets another, you always need a 3rd.
That's right.
I am waiting for Hawthorn to play Sydney in the 3rd grand final, just to see who gets the who gets the 3rd win there. We'll swap over now. We'll just mention that this is the best start to a season of all time, which I think most people would know that from Sydney FC. But we'll go down now to the A-League or the W League. The finals round. Canberra United jumped up to first.
Canberra United? Yeah. Wow.
Well, it's good that there's a Canberra team.
There should be a Canberra team. I'm proud there's a Canberra team.
Wake up, A-League.
Yeah, exactly.
There should have been a Canberra
Wake up,
team.
AFL. Come on. Gee.
Should have been an A-League team years ago. That's their first championship, because I don't call it minor premiership, since the 13-14 season. They only made it by an 8 goal difference. Jumped above Perth. So defeating Melbourne 5-1 is a good way to jump first,
Gee, pretty good way. Rubbing some salt to the wounds. Wow.
Yeah. Victory did finish last that season by comfortably finished last.
Gee.
But it's going to be
stark difference to the men's, isn't it? Melbourne Victory sitting very, very nicely on the bottom with 7 losses, and the Western Sydney Wanderers as well, 7 losses as well. So that's ouch.
So same with the Brisbane Roar with 7 losses.
Ouch.
We're looking at with Brisbane, Perth, and Sydney all with 7 wins up the top. So it's going to be an interesting final series.
This will be an interesting final series. And would you give Melbourne City a chance in this final series?
Well, they are the reigning premiers. So
they are the reigning premiers.
Going back-to-back seems to be a reigning premiers thing lately.
That's right, and even though they are only on 6 wins, they're not far behind the others, and so I think you give them every chance. They've got finals experience, and that's a big thing.
Every team has 90 minutes, so anything can happen when the finals start off next week.
That's right, and Canberra's first championship since 13-14 season, so it has been a little while for them. So you'd have to wonder how they're going to go with some of those inexperienced players.
Yes. Also for the women's, Alicia Skies. From Canberra United is the leading goal kicker with 12
Looking for the skies.
goals.
Looking for the skies.
Yes, reaching for the skies.
Aiming for the skies, that's right. She's doing well.
We're going to go to next we're going to talk about the big start to the AFL women's season.
Isn't this going to be exciting? I am so excited for this first season.
Yes, first we're going to go to the song with Angus and Julia Stone. Big Jet playing here on Sport Desk on Sin 90.7. That was Big Jet playing here on the Sports Desk on SYN 90.7 with Liam and Michael.
Oh, yes, and probably one of the most exciting segments of the show besides the tennis is, of course, the upcoming Women's League in the AFL. They've been doing exhibition matches leading up to this season, but finally we have 8 teams. Adelaide, Brisbane, Carlton, Collingwood, Freo, Greater Western Sydney, Melbourne, and, of course, the Doggies. I'm so excited for this season.
Oh, so am I. It's been years in the making. Like, I think this has gone on way too long. The fact that there's no women's team, no big women's league.
It's incredible because at a young level, I remember when I played Auskick back when I was a kid, there were actually more girls than there were guys playing. It was unbelievable. And I tell you what, they used to tackle very, very hard.
Girls they wanted to hurt you.
They did.
Like, guys, the other boys were just like, haha, we tackled girls.
I used to have
like,
long hair when I was a kid. I used to get it pulled. Like, seriously, they were amazing. They were really, really good players.
They didn't want to make friends. They wanted to hurt.
And they could kick the ball a country mile too. So it's going to be an exciting season. 8 teams, already hinting there's going to be more teams next season as well, depending on the success of this season. Kicks off first week of February, so very, very soon.
This
Friday, there you go.
Well, judging by the fact that there'd have to be a change of venue shows it's going to be a big tournament.
It will be a big tournament, and there's a lot of marquee players coming in. Of course, Adelaide have Chelsea Randall, Brisbane, Taylor Harris. You know, there's some big names there. So it's
More Hope's going to be the biggest.
It's going to be
So have you seen More Hope play? She does play like Buddy Franklin. Just the way her body moves, it's very Buddy Franklin-like.
Oh, that's a scary prospect.
Looks really hard to tackle as well.
Did she have to go to Collingwood though? Come on.
I know, at any team.
I want to be fair to all the teams in the women's league,
but why Collingwood?
But, you know, it's Collingwood. It's through and through. They're still going to be Collingwood. So
I'm not sure if many people know also that Mo Hope kicked 100 goals in her season last year in the BWFL for St Kilda.
Wow.
And I think she did it with like 3 games to go, maybe. And it was only like a 16-round season.
That's okay.
So, yeah, over 100 goals in a season for Mo Hope last year.
So
she's only 28 years old, so she's still got a lot of fleet left in her.
A lot left in her. Gee. The big question is, who's going to be the women's defender that's going to match up with her and going to be like the next kind of Kerry, Jakovic kind of,
Well, I did watch the Melbourne Bulldogs game, and I felt bad for the poor defender that was on her, because one, she was half her size, and 2 more, Hope just wore like a glove.
Oh.
Kicking her 6 goals, I think she kicked in that game.
Gee.
Absolutely destroyed Melbourne.
Gee. It's going to be a great season. And, of course, the first game kicks off this Friday.
Yes.
Where is it playing from?
Well, it was originally meant to be played at Collingwood's home ground, but they've moved it to Carlton's home ground now due to a lot of people wanting to go. And I think you'll be one of the people going, Lucy?
Yes, I will be one of the people going. I'm lucky enough to be sort of doing some stuff for Carlton. So we're very excited there that we get to have the game at home at Princess Park. I think they've done the right thing. I think it was a bit of an oversight by the AFL to have it at Olympic Park in the first place, because it only holds 5,000 people and there's no seating.
It's not
when
huge.
there was a forecasted attendance of, I think, 10,000.
Well, I'm going to be one of the people going as well. Because how often can you say you've gone to the first or something?
Yeah, exactly.
This is the first ever.
It's very exciting.
And what a perfect way to start. Collingwood Carlton, there was no other way you could start this tournament off.
And if anything now, you're creating a brand new rivalry in the Women's League as well. And do we expect a little bit of a scruffle early?
I hope so. I said before that I hope there's a bit of a scruffle.
Couple of jumper pulling, and it's gonna be a very intriguing matchup.
I think, speaking of Mo Hope, she's another one of those people that looks like that. I wouldn't want to run into her. She looks like she would hurt you.
No, I'd be very, very happy to be down the other end of the ground.
Other games that's going to be on as well. You got Adelaide playing GWS. GWS, don't know how they're going to go this season. Not scoring until the last quarter against Brisbane in the exhibition match.
They did get the number 1 pick, didn't they, in the draft?
Yes.
Which is very helpful. They picked up, was it Nicola Barr from Sydney University, and so she's very happy to be playing for the Giants. But it's only one player, and it's going to be interesting to see how they play.
Another game on the Saturday is the battle of the premiership favourites between the Western Bulldogs and the Fremantle Dockers.
Ooh. Now, of course, you're a Fremantle Docker in the men's league. Of course, you're going to be taking up the Dockers again in this league.
I might go for Melbourne.
Might go for Melbourne. Oh, there we go. There we go. Something a little bit different. They're too far away from home, aren't they? But yeah, God, it's gonna be an intriguing match, that one.
Well, see, because I'm not from WA, I don't really pay much
Do
attention.
they have
to
an
the WA
Aaron
girls.
Sandilands equivalent? Do they have a girl that's 8 foot? No.
No, there's no girl that head touches the roof that Eddie had. No.
That is shattering.
But because I didn't pay much attention to the women's. I watched the exhibition game between Fremantle and West Coast when they played last year. So when I found out they were Premiership favourites, I was surprised.
Because West Coast thrashed them.
Yeah. But then I realised they have all the WA talent, and not apart from Victoria, because Victoria's unfair. WA do bring out the best football players. If you want an example, you got Buddy, Rioli, what's it, Joe Hannison. All these good players come out of WA.
Yeah, I am looking at these 2016 exhibition series crowds, and we said 10,000 expected for the first game, but some of these crowds here, Adelaide Oval got a full house, 51,000.
But that was a opener to another game.
That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, it was the SA NFL blue and the red, but even still, regardless whether it is an open or not, there's still very good crowds.
I watched
imagine
that game, the SA blue and red. That game annoyed me.
Yeah, very low scoring, 5-4 to
the last
5-2.
quarter. It was all in the team that was losing. I can't remember who won. Losing's half, and their kicks just never seemed to hit the 50, and they always seemed to kick it to like an old person, and they seemed to always kick to a turnover to a turnover. It was just very frustrating to watch.
Now, Lucy, we'll talk about the rules before of the game and how there's it's a 16-side format on the field. Do you think that's going to increase the scoring, or do you think there's going to be probably a little bit like the game we were talking about before, kind of the ball gets stuck at one end of the ground and there's not too much happening?
I think it definitely will open up the space, but then it is obviously the same size oval as the men's
AFL,
men play on. So then you have to have players that will run more. So you have girls that tire out a bit more quickly because they're trying to get up all that extra space. But I think it definitely will help the scoring, help the girls find the space and move the ball maybe a bit freely. It won't be as congested with an extra 4 players on the field. But I did hear talk, and I don't know if it's still in the zoning thing, where there's like two players in the 50, I think, a defender and an attacker in the 50. So I'm not sure.
That's interesting rule.
Yeah, so I think there'll be petitions in the future to probably rid the game of those things. But I think while this is still a pilot season and they're still trialling a lot of things, it could be a good idea to try as much as they could to make it the most entertaining thing.
Is that at one time? So a forward and a defender has to be in the 50 at one time?
Yeah.
So everyone else can go out apart from the 1-2 people?
Yeah.
Oh, that's not as bad as I thought when you first said it when we were off air. I thought all the defenders have to stay in the 50, all the attacks have to stay in the 50.
So it was only one attacker and one defender, I'm pretty sure.
That's not too bad, but I would like the game to be more free-flowing than that.
Moana would be licking her lips, wouldn't she? She would be loving that rule.
She'll be thinking of a bit of the
She's like, this is great. I don't have to be double tagged here. Yes. God, another 100-goal season. But just for those of you who don't know the rules completely out there, they're going to be 15-minute quarters plus time on, and of course four of those 15-minute quarters throughout the game. So slightly shorter, but hopefully more scoring. And of course, as you said before, Lucy, the ground will open up, and hopefully we'll see some pretty big scores this year.
Yes.
Well, the practice games did show that the girls are capable of scoring.
Absolutely.
There was a big high-scoring game between
Fremantle and Adelaide in Darwin.
And Carlton kicked 6 goals in their last quarter.
Yeah, and then it was also a very low-scoring game between the Lions and GWS. Yeah. And the Doggies and Collingwood wasn't the highest-scoring game. Yeah. Considering Collingwood did kick 2 goals in the first quarter.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's like, I think with these teams, obviously a whole new group of girls coming together, you set the game plan first, and often the scoring is what comes last.
In a few years, when it becomes, hopefully they become full-time athletes, the scoring will go through the roof. Yeah. You'll go from one season where a team only scores like 20 points a game to scoring 100.
Yeah, exactly.
In a season, it will jump very high.
Yeah, exactly.
Before we go to a song, we'll just talk about more footy news. Doggies are desperate to sign Jason Johansson. Why wouldn't you be?
Exactly right.
They're only Norm Smith medalist. But also for GWS, and because, everything about GWS is good news. Josh Cully is pretty much almost put pen to paper, but he's very likely that he will sign with the club.
Well, that is very good news for if you're a GWS fan out there. That list just gets more and more exciting, and Yes.
And they have that thing that teams don't have. They have a very close bond. And that's why you expect most of the players who are out of contract to stay. At the moment, money's not an issue for them, which is very scary for people who aren't a GWS fan.
That's absolutely right. Taking pay cuts so they can get more and more success. It's incredible. Also, Geelong skipper Joel Selwood has extended his contract as well. And so it's probably most likely going to see him as a Cat for life. We never really expected him to go anywhere else in the first place. He bleeds white and blue, but no, that is great news if you're a Cat supporter.
Yes, I'm going to go to the song now. We'll wrap things up after this. This is Peter Murray, Better Days here on Sin 90.7. That was Peter Murray, Better Days here on the Sports Desk on Sin 90.7. And for the wrap up, let's talk about the netball. The Aussies getting a good
of course,
win.
the quad series happening over in South Africa at the moment. And Australia, yes, they did have a very, very good win. The Diamonds getting up against the New Zealand side over there.
Nothing better than being New Zealand if you're an Australian.
Isn't it great, bro? Anyway, so 57-50. Of course, coach Lisa Alexandra hailed the national netball team's depth after blooding another mid-quarter in the 7-goal win against New Zealand in Durban. So, a very good opening match of the series.
People don't know where Durban is. That's in South Africa. Yes.
Durban is in South Africa. And a very good performance from Susan Petit. 22 goals from 26 attempts. She was named the player of the match. Also, Australia's vice-captain, Caitlin Thwaites, I think that's how you say it, top scored with 35 goals from 39 attempts and an accuracy of 90% if you don't mind. So the Diamonds are looking very, very good over in South Africa.
Which makes it better. We're playing South Africa tomorrow.
We are.
And they're coming fresh off a loss to England.
So for all of you guys waking up nice and early for work, tune in at 4:45am in the morning to watch this very, very good match. So, trust me, it'll be worth it.
And the last thing about before we go, that the Kiwis, the Black Caps, 1 for 83.
1 for 83.
After 13 overs.
I really wanted them to be like 1 for 66, but 1 for 83 is good.
66 boo.
And it's an interesting lineup that we've got in. We've got a player playing for us, Sam Hazelet. He's a Queenslander, youngest member of the group.
Wait, he's not from New South Wales?
Believe it or not, he's not from New South Wales.
Did they make a mistake there? I thought that was just
a policy that he must have been born in New South Wales. He must have some kind of link to New South Wales.
There's no way that would not have been in New South Wales.
They don't blood anyone who's not New South Welshman. That's
very young Cricket Australia-like.
I was about to say. Oh, well, they do have Big Billy Stanlake there, which I think... Is he New South Wales? Probably. Most likely. But yeah,
he's that tall. He's probably in every state.
So Sam Hazelet could debut. I think he has debuted. He will be batting in the middle order a little bit later on this week. So best of luck to him.
Yes.
And best of luck to our Victorians playing as well. Peter Hanscom, of course, playing. Having a sparkling summer. And Marcus Stoinis, the all-rounder, I think he'll be doing very well in that team.
Yes, and that's all we have time for today for Sports Desk. Schools on Air is next. You can join Michael tomorrow for Get Serial.
Absolutely right. I'll be producing Get Serial for the first time on my Sin career, and get strapped in for a very, very lively show. There's plenty to talk about there. So
and you can join me again on Thursday for Get Serial, where me and Michael do it all here.
Cross promoting, gee,
this is beautiful stuff.
It is beautiful stuff. But of course, join us next Monday, but join us this Friday as well for the Sports Desk.
Probably a more in-depth look at the AFL Women's.
Absolutely.
Here on the Sports Desk.
Approaching that big game. Looking forward to it. What's your tip, by the way?
What, for the Premiership?
For the first game.
For the first game,
Carlton.
You don't want Collingwood to win,
no.
But Carlton's going to get over.
I think Carlton will get over.
Not being too biased, but I think Carlton's going to win it.
Yeah, there we go.
Her job was on the line.
A bit of inside information there, guys.
No, her job was on the line. Carlton was like, what are you going to say there?
They might be listening.
You're listening to the Sports Desk on Sin 90.7.